What's going on, guys? Tony Sentmanat here, back again on the YouTube. Today is going to be a Q&A. I'm going to be doing Q&A once a month, and just any questions that you guys might have, this is going to be the time to ask me. This is going to be the time that I'm going to be answering as many questions as I possibly can. So let's go ahead and let's kick it off. So the first question was how old I am, and I'm 40 years old and born in 1980. I am, to give all my statistics, I'm 5'11", depending on what shoe, 6 feet, and I weigh anywhere between 235 pounds all the way up to 255 pounds before. Right now, I'm currently at around 238, 239. I've always been an athlete, so I always played sports growing up. I've always been very competitive as a kid, so I've probably been training hard and competing since I was about 4 years old. I started in martial arts at 4 years old, and in hardstyle Japanese karate. And I competed nationally, regionally, and also in the Junior Olympics. That's a good one. Let me think about that. One exercise. If I had one exercise that I could do for the rest of my life, it would probably be either bench press or squat. One of those two. I love benching, and squat's probably second. And then I used to like deadlift, but ever since I got a lesion in my hip, I haven't really been able to deadlift it so much, so it's kind of tasking on me. There is no best martial arts style. I am a firm believer in mixed martial arts, where you have to be a well-rounded fighter. You have to know groundwork, you have to know standing, grappling, clinching, and you have to know some form of stand-up. Even if you don't kick much, like maybe you're not a Muay Thai guy or a kickboxer, but at least you have to know how to throw hands. I wouldn't tell you that I have a favorite, because I've seen jiu-jitsu guys get knocked out, and I've seen pro strikers, get tapped out by a jiu-jitsu guy. So it also depends on who the person is that's doing that martial arts. Okay, so my stance on the Black Lives Matter riots. I don't stand so much for Black Lives Matter as an organization. I definitely stand for that Black Lives do matter. I'm a minority myself and half black as well. This is the problem with me, is I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. Miami, Florida is predominantly minorities, black and Hispanic. So we didn't have the racial issues that may be caused up north, down here in Miami, because everyone is a minority. And so it's hard for me to see that. Okay, I've never been in someone else's shoes, so I cannot tell you what they've experienced. I have my experiences in life, and they're gonna have theirs. So everybody's gonna think a little bit differently. Now, the riots in itself, regardless if it's whoever it is, there is no excuse for destroying our country. I can say that wholeheartedly. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in stealing people's property. I don't believe in burning down buildings. I don't believe in any of that. That's just not. I don't think that there's any justification for that. There's 100 other ways to protest or to do the things, and I do believe in protesting as long as it's peaceful. So in regards to the other portion of the question, as for the hate for law enforcement, I am gonna be biased, obviously, because I did 15 years as a cop, so I know what it's like for people not to like you or to hate you. I understand that, because you're the guy that's going to take them to jail. You're the guy that's going to give them a ticket. At the same time, on the other hand, you're the guy that's going to save their life. You're the guy that's gonna take a armed robbery or a home invasion subject into custody, or a guy that just killed someone, or a guy that just raped a little girl. So there's two sides to it. Based on your experiences of what you've had will determine how much you hate them or dislike them. And you never want to judge by the experiences you've had an entire demographic. Okay, whatever my experiences are with black people or white people, purple people or green people, doesn't determine how I look at everyone of that race or that gender. I have friends of all races, of all colors. I don't see color. I don't see it. I see good or bad. I see scumbag or good person. I see morals. I see principles. That's what I see. So regardless of what race or what color you are, if you're evil or you're bad, I'm not gonna like you. It's embedded in me because of my law enforcement background. Is there racism in this country? Yes, there is. Will there be racism? Always. And it comes, and me, as I'm a firm believer that it comes back to culture. Growing up, you're always gonna feel closer to your own culture or someone that looks like you. And when you're growing up as a kid, that is taught to you, no matter how you look at it, and it's based off your experiences. So that's the best way that I can answer it. Coming out of high school, I went into the Marine Corps, and I actually wanted to become a marshal, a U.S. Marshal. Fugitive Task Force is really what I wanted to become. And I got out of the Marines, and I needed a job quick, needed a job fast. So I became a correctional officer, got hired really fast with corrections, and then didn't like corrections very much. It's pretty fucking shitty. And then I went straight into law enforcement. I never really thought as a police officer, as a kid, that I was ever going to become a police officer. It was the last thing. As a matter of fact, growing up, I really didn't like cops because I had a lot of bad experiences with them myself. One of my biggest pet peeves as working as a law enforcement officer was handling accidents. When I first got on, I could not stand handling automobile accidents. The reports are really long, and it's really monotonous. It's really boring, and it's pretty shitty. Someone wanting to get into SWAT or to military special operations, it doesn't really matter. First, you have to become a police officer, or you have to join the military, regardless of how you look at it. So that's your first step. Worry about that first. Get hired with the department first. And once you get in there and you do your time on the road or do whatever, and you want to become SWAT or you want to go whatever route that it is that you want to do, then yeah, you're going to have to get physically fit, number one. And you're going to have to shoot, number two. Those are the two things that you're going to have to put some effort into before you decide that you want to become SWAT. Those are the two biggest failures is obviously fitness, because they can't run. Their physical fitness centers are not up to par, or their shooting isn't up to par. So I went through City Miami SWAT school many years ago, and I was SWAT most of my career. I did 15 years law enforcement. So back then it was tough. It was a really rough 3 weeks. Probably, I think, City Miami's top 2 or top 3 in the nation for hardest SWAT schools. LAPD, Miami-Dade County, City Miami, and up there, and then I believe Dallas is another one. So don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. So, those are the biggest things, that big recommendation is, get in shape, be consistent, and shoot, practice, train. So airsoft pistols for law enforcement, they play their part in training. They can be used for force on force, just as well as simunition rounds, which, if you don't know what a sim round is, it's a marking round. It has paint, but it's an actual bullet, and it marks you, so you know when it hits you. The only problem with airsoft is they could always say that they didn't get hit or whatever that it may be when you're doing force on force. What is force on force? Force on force is scenario-based training with both sides, good side, bad side, having simunition guns or airsoft guns. And you work your tactics, you work a lot of different things with these type of firearms that are fake, you could say, whatever, but they still shoot projectiles. So they definitely have their part in training. So as a law enforcement officer my entire career, in the beginning I shot with a USP H&K, and then I transferred over to Glock, and I've been a Glock guy most of my career. And so between Glock and then Canik is probably one of my favorite guns to shoot. The Canik Subcompact Elite TP9 and the Glock 19 are my 2 favorite guns to shoot for pistol. So how do you avoid dizziness when deadlifting? Well, dizziness when deadlifting could happen to you for a number of reasons. My first reaction to that would be obviously hydration. You might be dehydrated, all right, or you might have not eaten enough. You got enough calories into your body. At the same time, I've had friends of mine that have passed out during deadlifting, all right, because of the oxygenated blood they're doing so much force on the way up and they're holding their breath the whole time that they pass out. So, best thing I could tell you is make sure you're drinking water, make sure you're hydrated, and make sure that you're eating some kind of food 45 to an hour and a half before you work out. I don't really judge my foods or a day by calories. I go by meals. So when I'm powerlifting, I eat a certain way. When I'm training mixed martial arts, I eat a certain way. So I have different ways to eat, depending on what I'm training for that 12-week program that I'm doing. So when I'm trying to gain weight and powerlift, I'm eating a lot more. So I'll eat 3 or 4 meals a day, just meals with at least either steak or chicken and white rice. And then I'll have 1 or 2 protein shakes. So I usually have about at least 4 meals, solid meals, and then 2 protein shakes, 6 meals a day. When I'm doing mixed martial arts, depending on how I'm doing it, a lot of times I do intermittent fasting, where I'll go a long period of time without eating and then have 1 or 2 meals a day with protein shakes. Just because most of the time I'm trying to cut at that time. All right. I'm a big proponent of the vertical diet by Stan Efforting. If you haven't looked that up, make sure you guys look that up. That's probably been the best diet for me in as a performance athlete ever. Usually right after training, I have a protein shake, Formula 1 by First Form. And I say Formula 1 because of it's hydrolyzed, so it goes into your system quickly. I do 2 scoops of that, and then I usually eat maybe an hour to an hour and a half after. If I'm doing any kind of really hard workouts, I cannot eat right after I train. It feels weird to me and it feels heavy, and I'm not hungry. So I usually have a protein shake. What do I usually eat if it's at nighttime? And usually when I train during the afternoon, I eat at nighttime. I usually eat chicken with white rice. So if you're having a slump or you're having a hard time in your life, personal reasons or whatever that you may be, if it's really bad, you have to reach out to somebody. Don't be stubborn or hard-headed and think that you can handle everything on your own. You have to have someone that you can reach out to, and if you don't have anyone to reach out to, then call. There's a ton of hotlines out there for depression and PTSD. Call somebody. You gotta talk to somebody. Me being in law enforcement in the military most of my life, my adult life, I have a mild form of PTSD as well. Okay, so I go through my issues that I go through every so often. None of us are perfect, and we all have demons in our closet, no matter what anybody tells you. They struggle with mental issues, emotional issues, physical issues, insecurities. Everybody deals with something. The best thing I can tell you is I make these videos sometimes, guys, when I'm going through a hard time, so that if you see me struggling and you see me out there working hard, hopefully it gets you up out of the couch and it gets you out there working hard, and hopefully I can help you some way, or some word that I say might help you. And that's the goal of me doing all of this that I do. All right, guys, so that concludes the questions for today. If you have any more questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments section. I'm going to be doing this once a month. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think, and on to the next one.